10 minutes past 9. Time to talk high-tech business with Paul Brislen at twitter.com/Paul Brislen. First for the year. Top of the morning to you, Paul. Paul. Top of the morning to you, Paul.
There we are.
Yes, sorry, that was
tricky.
Yeah, just keeping you on your toes first thing.
Yes. Yeah. No, I need to be kept on my toes. I'm still in holiday mode. Yes. How are you?
I'm well. I'm very good. Breaking news, though, this morning.
Breaking news?
Breaking news.
I have to take your word for it because my Googles are refusing to give me access to anything at the moment.
It's so fresh that it's not on every single news feed into Google just yet.
No, and clearly you're on the more advanced news feed because I'm sitting here looking at Google. It goes, no, I've got no news.
I'm paying for the premium internet.
Yes, clearly. I'd be concerned about this, actually. We'll have to discuss this another time and figure out just which version of the internet we're all looking at.
Indeed. Well,
clearly there's more than one.
I'll read the very brief news article that's up on the New York Times, just gone up there. Federal prosecutors in Virginia say they have shut down one of the world's largest internet file-sharing sites, Megaupload.com, and charged its founder and others with violating piracy laws. An indictment accuses the company of costing copyright holders more than $500 million in lost revenue from pirated films and other content.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Interesting. This coming hot on the heels of the failure of Congress and Senate to pass their two new shiny anti-copyright theft pieces of legislation, SOPA and PIPA, which seem to be a little bit dead in the water, but not out of the game just yet.
Yeah.
Yes, very interesting. Very interesting times indeed.
Now, Megaupload, it's a file locker site, isn't it?
That's right. So this, it's not the equivalent of Pirate Bay, for example. It's more a place where I can put a series of files, and then you can come along and download them should you need to. There are a whole raft of them popping up all over the place. I use the Box, and there are a variety of other ones as well. Dropbox is probably the one you're most familiar with.
Yeah.
And there have been questions asked about, well, hang on, who's got access to those files? Will Dropbox, for instance, be assessing all the files that people are storing there? And if so, what are they looking for and how are they doing it and all the rest of it?
Yeah.
And, of course, as Clay Shirky, quite an astonishingly good speaker on this kind of topic, said at the TED conference, it's online at the TED website, even 1 penny per search will cripple their business case for this kind of thing, because it's just going to really, really impact on their ability to provide an affordable service.
Yeah.
And that'll be that.
Now, sites like Rapidshare, Megaupload, all these ones, they all have legitimate uses, don't they?
They do. I mean, I use Dropbox for sharing files with people all over the place. Especially useful, the era of handing somebody a stick with your presentation on or emailing it to them. That gets very tricky to manage when you're talking about large files or lots of files.
Yeah.
So instead, it's much easier just to upload it to Dropbox, and then when somebody says, hey, I need that presentation or that video you made or that file, you just give them the link and give them access, and away they go.
Often we get audio files for the radio that are sent via sites like Megaupload.
Exactly. Yeah, it's incredibly useful. Now, and because of the price point as well, which tends to be free, or if you buy the paid versions, they're only sort of tens of dollars a year.
Yeah.
So for companies, it is a fantastic resource. And unfortunately, this kind of activity will see them being pulled back in, I imagine, and costs being reassessed, and that could be really rather difficult. So
it's going to be interesting to see how this story unfolds. And as you say, on the back of the SOPA and PIPA protests just yesterday on the internet.
That's right. So you will have seen Wikipedia disappear completely, much to the chagrin of rather a lot of spotty American students who got very upset because they had homework due. And some of the other sites included Google blocking out its logo. Reddit disappeared. I blacked out my avatar on Twitter just to sort of show my solidarity. But really, they're pointing out what the impact of these new laws will have should they go ahead. And the impact is really quite remarkable, particularly if you're a business that operates online and you're not American. The costs involved will be dramatic and will probably put you out of business if you try to compete with an American company.
Yeah.
And that, for me, is really the real killer here. That what they're talking about is not only an assumption of guilt until you prove your innocence, which is a costly business, but given the way that a lot of companies use existing copyright laws simply to attack competitors and to either damage their reputation or simply get them knocked off the internet. SOPA in particular had a lot of instances where search engines would be required to remove all pointers to your website should you be accused of anything, but also the domain name scheme itself. That handy way of translating. So I type in google.com, but the computer reads a string of numbers. And that translation system, the domain name system itself, will be required to pull your listing so that nobody would be able to find you simply by typing in your name. Now, that's just absurd, the sort of lengths we're going to protect copyright in a way that simply won't protect copyright but will damage the internet is just outrageous.
But the latest on this is?
Well, at the moment it appears that SOPA and PIPA have been knocked on the head. SOPA is travelling through Congress, and the White House already said that no, it won't be approving that law. PIPA was going through the Senate in the US, and already I think 13 at last count senators said no way, we're backing that. But it's not the end, and it is. This has been a fight that's been going on for 20 years since the first audio cassette was first sold. It will continue, I'm sure. SOPA and PIPA will be back in some other form, and the problem is that they simply don't realise the impact it will have on everybody else's business. Should they introduce something like
it kind of makes our three strikes pale in comparison.
Well, it really does. I mean, this is just an abhorrent, really quite appalling piece of legislation. And the power that it would bestow on America as the be all and end all of the internet is just remarkable.
Not good.
No, far from it.
Over the holiday period, CES, the Consumer Electronics Show, happened in Vegas as it does every year.
That's right.
Acres and acres of stall holders, electronic stall holders from all around the world.
Techno goodies.
Showing off their wares. What were some of the big trends?
Well, aside from Microsoft attending for the last time, and or so they say anyway, and really not having much to show except for a Twitter choir, which beggars belief, really. I don't even want to. I'm not clicking on that link whatsoever. The thing that really impressed me there from Microsoft is talk of Skype coming to Windows mobile devices. So we've talked about this in the past, that once somebody starts putting Skype-like capability, voice over IP, onto a mobile phone handset, that's really the end of the revenue stream for the cell phone companies. And Microsoft appears to be charging along, and Skype, of course, has the brand awareness and the customer base to really hurt a lot of cell phone companies around the world. It'll be very interesting to see how that happens in the next 12 to 18 months. Now,
in the TV side of things, 3D was big last year. That was still there this year, but we were seeing more smart TVs.
Well, that's right, and the idea that my Samsung already talks to my phone when I walk into the house. When I go and plug in a stick in the side of the television, it says, "Oh yes, I can play those files," and away it goes. It's really become more of a monitor than a television. And we're starting to see some very cool stuff coming out that combine that ability to play multimedia on straight to your television. BitTorrent clients built into televisions. That should put the fear of torrents in every copyright holder's mind, I would imagine.
Talking about Samsung, they showed off some TVs, because there's a lot of concern, of course, about these manufacturers trying to one up the last year's model, and people throwing out the last year's model, and it's just not good environmentally. I noticed one thing that they were coming up with was a panel that you would keep, but you would change out the back end, a little box that fits on the back that has the processor and software and all that kind of thing, so you can whack in stuff to improve the TV year on year, but don't replace the screen.
That's right, and I don't know how much of the recycling issue is around the screens, all the back end stuff.
Yeah.
But it is as we get more and more screens and more devices, it's absolutely something that recycling centres and councils and refuse collectors need to really consider, because some of these have quite nasty heavy metals,
well, that's right,
albeit in small quantities. You've got to dispose of them quite carefully. I really like Samsung's transparent smart window.
Oh, I saw that as well. Amazing.
Which I have to have right now.
Yeah, but no particular use for it. But
no, I don't care. Me either. But it's how would you describe it? It's a transparent.
It's a window.
Touchscreen window. It looks just like a window, doesn't it? And I could imagine replacing the glass in the front of the lounge, and then that becomes your computer screen, and it's a touch screen. So you wander on up, and I'll download my email. I'll check this. Oh, it's a bit bright. I'll just pull the blinds down.
Yeah.
Okay, now I want to watch television. I'll switch over to it being a TV.
I'll do it all naked, standing in front of the window.
That's right. It's a win. It's a win for all of us. That whole technology, though, is very cool, and this idea of being able to display things on a piece of glass is the way forward, I think, particularly in cars. And Audi turned up with its heads-up display, or if you're English, head-up display, the HUD system, which blasts the screen of your car with important information for the driver. And I've really noticed as driving a car with paddles that I don't actually know what gear I'm in unless I take my eyes off the road and look down. In the old days, I just had my hand on the gear shift and I'd be all right. I'd know whether it was second or third or fourth or whatever. But it's becoming more and more difficult to see the information that you need without looking away from the screen, without looking away from the road. So by displaying it all on a screen directly in front of you at eye level, it works very well.
That's pretty cool.
There'll be a lot more of that to come, I think.
And just to finish on, I saw a great demo with Windows 8, which is the next incarnation of Windows, using eye tracking technology.
Oh yes, eye tracking as well.
Yeah.
I mean that's fantastic stuff too.
So
gesture control.
You look at an icon on the screen, and the cursor goes there.
Yeah.
And all you're doing is using clicks, so you're not moving a mouse.
Yeah.
So you're just using a click button to the actual execution of what you want to do, but it follows your eyes around the screen. Yeah.
That's the amount of time spent doing that kind of thing. It's remarkable how much time we spend in front of screens these days. Anything to make it easier.
Yeah. Paul Brislen, thanks very much.
Anytime.
Twitter.com/Paul Brislen for more technology talk and everything else.